Alright, we have another build video today. And today we're doing Titans. I'm going to have 4 builds for you, one for each subclass. You know, your Sentinel, Striker, Sunbreaker, and Behemoth. So, let's just get this started off with this build that features bottom tree Sentinel with tractor cannon and double slugs. It doesn't necessarily have to be double slugs, but just because they do so much damage, plus you get the debuff from tractor cannon, it just all meshes well. So what you need to elevate this to a higher level is, of course, heavy-handed and quick charge. And you'll need other arc mods on the pieces that have those. I would also recommend using Charge Harvester just so that you always have Charge with Light stacks. So basically, when you're in a group, you use your shotgun and you get ammo back for it, which is great. I would also probably use High Energy Fire for a damage buff, but that's just me. So you'll have a shotgun in every slot and you keep getting ammo for those. Highly recommend, of course, reserves and using scavenger and maybe finder mods just in case you run a little bit low. It'll help top you back up. But this build is pretty simple. I highly recommend, no matter what, using first in last out, just because it's a Vorpal auto loading slug shotgun. But your kinetic slot, you have a little bit more options. You could run a blasphemer if you want to run double slugs. You could run a heritage even. Maybe you don't want to run a slug, so you run Reese Walker. It's just pretty much up to you in that kinetic slot, but the elemental slot, highly recommend that you use first and last out for this. And you do have 2 suppresses. Of course, you have your tractor cannon and you have your shoulder charge, which does not give you the debuff on enemies, but it will suppress enemies, meaning that special abilities they have, like Knight Shields or Hobgoblin, kneeling, they won't be able to do that anymore. So you can just go in, suppress them, slug shotgun them, finish them off, or if they're a little tankier, you might have to use tractor cannon to make it a little bit easier for you. But I do like this build. It's pretty simple and pretty enjoyable too. So maybe try it out. I personally enjoy it. And now for our Striker Titan, we have a build centering around, you guessed it, another shotgun. Look, I may be a Warlock main, but I am a connoisseur of gourmet crayons. And let me tell you, 1-2 punch hits the spot. Now, what the focus is on this build is bottom tree Striker. The momentum transfer melee is a really good melee, and then with Wormgod Caress, you deal a lot of extra damage. Like, I mean a lot. I'll give you an example right here. Yeah, as you can see, at the end of the strike, I one-shot a boss, which, I mean, it's not really a boss, it's more of it's just an abomination, but still, it's really strong. 1-2 punch, another really strong perk. I just shotgun and then meleeed that little mini boss right there. It's a really good combo. If you can get the 5 stacks of Wormgod Caress and a 1-2 punch off at the same time, there's not a whole lot that can tank that in the game, other than like ultras. But majors, champions, you'll chew through them. Speaking of champions, Monte Carlo is the weapon I'm going to be using. And this is because Monte Carlo gives your melee back faster. But speaking of getting your super back faster, is it hands-on, I believe? It's an arc helmet mod, and basically your melees charge your super faster, which using this specific build, you're going to get your super back pretty fast because the amount you're going to melee. Basically, you run in there, melee, shotgun melee over and over again. Heavy-handed, great option. Charge Harvester is always a great option to choose. You could also use Protective Light to make sure you don't die when you're surrounded. Another great option would be Reactive Pulse. If it gets too hairy, then you'll trigger reactive pulse and all the enemies around you will die, or at least take a lot of damage. So you have options using this build, but Charge with Light mods are just great for shotguns. There's not much better in the game. So using Charge with Light mods and a 1-2 punch shotgun, you can do a lot. There's only, I think, 3 1-2 punch shotguns in the game right now. You have the Garden of Salvation shotgun, Prophet of Doom is what it's called. Retold Tale has 1-2 punch, and it's a precision frame. I'm not sure if that would make it any better or not. And then from Vault of Glass, everyone's favorite D1 shotgun, Found Verdict, is a 1-2 punch shotgun, potentially, if you get that roll. Plus, it rolls Adept, so maybe Adept big ones could really take it to the next level. But this build, it has room to grow with your Charge with Light mods, and it's a punching Titan build, so you know it's going to be good. So yeah, that's about it for my Striker build. Just Worm God Caress, 1-2 punch shotgun, Monte Carlo. You can take down anti-barriers this season, and you get good use out of your melee. So try it out. It's really fun, especially in Altar of Sorrow, where you can one-shot the nightmares with your melee. So yeah, it's just fun. If you haven't caught on already, there's a little bit of a trend here with my builds this video, but for Top Tree Sunbreaker, we have a build using a Mida multi-tool? Does anyone use that? Even in PvP? I don't think anyone uses it now. But it gets you a little bit faster movement speed, and this season scout rifles have anti-barrier. So you can take down anti-barriers similar to Monte Carlo in the last build, but your shoulder charge is gonna be a key aspect of this build, being that Top Tree Sunbreaker adds a debuff when it shoulder charges. And with Energy Accelerant making everyone's favorite sword, Crown Splitter, even better, like I'm talking double damage, it's just a no-brainer. You charge in with Peregrine Greaves is what I'm using. You deal, 6 times damage on an airborne shoulder charge? You either kill them or almost kill them if it's a champion, and then you just hit them once with your Crown Splitter and they should be dead. If they're not, I'm using a 1-2 punch shotgun, maybe use a slug instead, but you have some flexibility in your other slots. I personally like Mida multi-tool for the speed boost. I think it helps me a lot, especially since it does also have anti-barrier on it. But things to focus on outside of that are Energy Accelerant to buff your sword, and then Charge with Light mods, of course. So you're going to want Charge Harvester, because it's the best way to get charges. And then Lucient Blade, because I think that's a 40% buff to sword damage. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe it's higher than normal buffs. So you'll have Charge Harvester, Lucient Blade, which will make your heavy attacks charge faster, in case you didn't know, if you have a second mod slotted of the correct element. So yeah, you're going to be dealing a lot of damage with your Crown Splitter, especially when you debuff enemies. So it's a really good up-close build, so use Protective Light. It might save you a little bit. And possibly Reactive Pulse if you're feeling that. Maybe you could swap that out for another one that would be more generally useful. So that's just kind of up to you, but Lucient Blade, Charge Harvester, Protective Light are my tops. Now I'm gonna be honest, this last build here is kind of a meme, and by kind of I mean it actually it's a meme. So it's gonna be using Khepri's Horn. Hold on, I made a video on Khepri's Horn before. It shatters stasis crystals, kind of like Middle Tree Arc Strider can. So it does make Khepri's Horn more usable, kind of. It gives you more of a sideways damage profile if you hit the stasis crystals. But you do regenerate faster while using stasis because of your different aspects and fragments. Of course, you'll want the fragment that makes you have larger, more high damaging explosions from shatters, of course. And then the one where shattering crystals ups your regens. And then your class ability recharges all your abilities is a good one. But what's really interesting about this build is Khepri's Horn spawns Warmind cells if you're using the Wrath of Rasputin. So throw on your Hungjury or Fatebringer, maybe even a Praeless Revenge, just something with Firefly in the kinetic slot. And then I'm using an empty vessel here. It's just a solar grenade launcher. If you have one, use one. Or you could go with a Firefly weapon. But in your heavy slot, I highly recommend I'm sorry, this build is so stupid. Salvation's Grip. That way you can do more shattering. Basically, the idea is either shatter with your melee or be a little safer and shatter with your barricade. And if you shatter something with your barricade, I think you get your barricade back faster. That's how Khepri's Horn works. Anyways, this build is honestly just a joke. I think it's funny personally, just to kill enemies with Khepri's Horn, and the only way to do that really is to shatter crystals because it doesn't do enough damage on its own. But if you do get a kill, there is a chance you do spawn Warmind cells. So grab Burning Cells and Rage of Rasputin. They make it just a little bit better. Maybe also Protection of the Warmind or Power of Rasputin would help. But yeah, it's a goofy build, and it's meant to be. It's just to mess around and have fun, even though it's kind of infuriating to set up, and it doesn't work all the time. But you know, we do these things. So anyways, that's about it for this video. Hope you had a good time, and I hope you try some of these builds out, even if it's just the meme one, just as a joke. But yeah, hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time.